It is the Blitz here on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. He's Joe Reinagel. I'm Jay Simonix. In studio, San Antonio Brahmas head coach Wade Phillips. Coach, how's your Thursday?
Yeah, you bet. Happy for me. I'm in San Antonio.
You're in San Antonio, new head coach of the San Antonio Brahmas, and with the UFL. You get the job, they announce it, and it is like the water faucet is now like drinking from a fire hydrant, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it all comes out at once, right on top of your head.
So what are you doing in San Antonio? What you come into town and what happens?
Well, you mean today?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, media. Yeah, overall media stuff. I met with the Alamo Dome people. Got a tour there, and they're really gracious and just really want to do anything they can for you. So that was great.
You think about your time in the Dome, and I'm trying to remember, were you coaching the Cowboys when training camp was in the
Yes.
Dome? And
Yeah.
did you bring up some of the issues that the Cowboys had back in some of those days?
Well, the big thing I brought up, which I really remember the most, is how many fans came out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're working 2 practices a day, and they're there every practice and screaming and hollering, and it's just like a game almost. Every time somebody catches a pass, they cheer, and so it was it was quite an experience.
Well, Wade, this town loves the Cowboys, obviously, but they love football.
That's
in
right.
general, and the Brahmas should expect big fans like that too. In fact, last year they had them, and this year's going to be no exception. You got to be excited about that.
I am. This is the town is on the cusp, I guess, of showing its greatness all the time. Because if you've been here, you know about it, but not everybody's seen it. But more and more people will see it now that we got a team here.
Well, and Wade, do you think about spring football in San Antonio with the alliance he had, the Commanders, and what they were able to do last year? The Brahmas did well despite the record. The fan support was there. And with the combining of the two leagues in the meetings that you've been in, what is the biggest positive you think with the two teams coming together?
Well, better players, more competition. We have players from both leagues now competing for one league, plus the new guys that are coming in. So I think I thought the XFL was good caliber league last year, but I think it'll be even better. It'll be high quality.
Yeah, when you look at these players coming in, I mean, obviously the dream for most of them is going to get to the NFL, but you're going to have an opportunity to shape them and coach them up and all of that. Looking forward to these to having those types of players that are hungry to get in there and play.
Yeah, it's a great experience for a coach. I didn't realize it until I got into it last year. The first meeting we had, the special teams coach was talking, and every player was lasered in. Now, half of them don't play special teams, The D linemen, they don't care about special teams.
Yeah.
And they're all locked in. And I thought, this is going to be a good group because their focus was that way all year, really. There's something out there they want to try to get, and they're going to do everything they can to get it.
Wade Phillips
Nice.
joining us here on the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. You mentioned your special teams coach. I've had some people ask about your staff. Somebody tweeted earlier, you're coming on. They want to know about your staff. Have you hired a staff yet?
Well, we've got most of them hired. Our offensive staff, A.J. Smith was my offensive coordinator, and he'll be back. Peyton Pardee is a wide receiver coach. His granddad was Jack Pardee, and he did a great job with those. And then speaking of Cowboys, Andre Garrard, who was a Pro Bowl center for 5 years with the Cowboys, coached our offensive line last year. He'll be coaching the offensive line here.
Nice.
So a lot of continuity there. I lost a couple of defensive coaches, including the coordinator. We did lead the league in defense, which I demand. So
you demand that, huh?
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. So I
Wait, you had a defensive coordinator last year, wasn't you?
Yeah, well, I oversee it.
There you go.
Yeah, it brings up an interesting question, though, Wade. As the head coach, how much do you get involved with your offensive and defensive coordinators?
Quite a bit on defense, more so on defense. It's overall philosophy, both of them. You know, how much we want to blitz, offensively, what kind of chances we want to take in certain areas of the field. Now we do this every game. It's every team we
Mhm.
play. I have a meeting with those people and special teams coach and say, hey, this is the team we want to take advantage of this and that. So I'm involved in coaching.
When you as a defensive minded coach and you've got your offensive coordinator, you know what the game plan is going in. You're good with stuff. But when you hear a play that's called, if you don't like it, do you say something or do you just let him call his plays?
I'm pretty much let the coaches coach. You know, now if it's a situation like well happened in the NFL where you're at the end of the game, and if you just run the ball, you can run the clock out instead of throwing the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's stuff like that. I'll make sure we don't do.
You question that?
Yeah.
Like what are you thinking? All right. So speaking of, right, you get a chance to go for two and win the game. And a guy reports, but it's the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And then you get a penalty and you're still going for two. You get another penalty and you're still going for two. At what point do you just cut your losses and kick the extra point and play for overtime? Or are you stubborn and say, we're still going to try for two?
Well, I would have kicked the extra point, but uh, yeah, I mean, you can always second guess anytime, but the percentages go way down the further you move back.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're taking a percentage, a less than 50% chance of making it. To me, is a bad decision for your team. You owe your team uh, a chance to make 2 points or whatever it is. But if you're giving them less than 50% chance, then you're not doing right by them.
If you tell your team at first, we're going to go down, score, we're going to go for two and win the game. You've told them that. They went down, they scored. And he stayed. I'm still going to go for two. At what point do you say, you know what, guys, we got to kick the extra point and keep playing because you tried?
If it's further than two
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's when emotion gets in it because obviously we're talking about Dan Campbell. I think everybody
Who?
knows that.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
with the Lions. But
I
I
had
mean,
no idea.
as a head coach, I mean, you get emotional. I mean, if something goes right, something goes wrong. I mean, it's human nature. How do you control that?
Well, that's coaching, in my opinion. I mean, you see guys get mad on the sideline and whatever, but you still got to be into the game. You got to know. Uh, Again, you had those meetings beforehand and said, "Hey, this is what we want to do in this situation. If it's the end of the game, we want to try to win the game. If we're at home or behind, or what team we're playing, or what defense we're playing against, those kind of things should all be decided beforehand." And they evidently had already decided they were going to do that, but the less and less percentage, I got to go with, hey, let's let's tie and keep going.
Especially when you had all the momentum, and the
Yeah.
Lions did in that
Yeah,
case.
and obviously he's done a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, this year with the Lions, they've had a great season.
Wade Phillips joining us here in studio on the Blitz 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. You think about your dad, your coaching career, won a Super Bowl. When you're watching games, college games, high school game, any pro league game, and you watch the coaches, because I'm guessing coaches watch coaches, right? Do you sit there every game just wondering why are they doing that in that particular moment, or is just like everything else, a player knows how to run a route, yet on a play they might run a bad route.
Right.
Do you coach the coaches from your recliner?
I second guess the coaches, yeah.
So do we.
Well, but I mean, a fan second guesses really the whole scheme of it, I guess. But I watch a game. I watch the offense. I watch the defense a lot to see what they're playing against. Defense. I think defensively when I watch a game, and see why they're doing. Yeah, what plays they're running against them to hurt them, or what defenses they're running, or what blitz they think they're going to run that's going to, get beat for a touchdown. But yeah, so that's the way I look at it.
Now, Wade, how did you get involved coaching the defense? Was that something your dad pushed you into, or was that something that you were just interested in?
Well, I mean, I was always around coach. I
Sure.
mean, my dad was a coach, and so I was always around it. And then when I played in high school, I played quarterback. I was really a middle linebacker, not a quarterback. But so in college, I played linebacker, and so I knew defense. And my dad was actually coached me as a freshman and sophomore at the University of Houston on the defense. So I was actually in some of the coaches' meetings, not just with the players, but some of the coaches' meetings. So I knew what defensive coaches did. Um, one of my coaches said, well, "Yeah, I never made any mistakes." I didn't make any mental mistakes. I made plenty of physical mistakes because I was in the right place and got run over. But so it's just you're around it. You know what a coach does. My dad loved coaching, and now I love coaching. So I think people following their dad's professions. My son coaches for the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. So it kind of rubs off.
It's just
Nice.
all in the family.
Yeah.
Wade Phillips here on the Blitz. Before the segment, and you were in the studio, we're talking a lot about Mike McCarthy. Obviously, this is Cowboys country. We're the Cowboys station here in San Antonio. Mike McCarthy said he had a 3-hour meeting with Jerry, and he kept his job on the other side. What are those one-on-ones like with Jerry Jones?
Normally, like he said, or the part I heard, Jerry's blunt, but he wants to know about his team and what we're doing and how we're going to get better, basically, or how we're going to do things. Not the plays. He doesn't want to call the plays or call the defenses, but So yeah, he has long meetings. I've had those 3 hours. Now, the shorter meeting I had with him wasn't good.
Which was after a Green Bay game too, right?
That was on my last meeting with him.
It was short, huh?
Yeah, he's interested. He is a general manager now.
Mm-hmm.
People discard that, but he played football. He's obviously works hard at being a general manager. Meets with all the players that we're going to try to draft. He's into it. He works hard at it, and so he wants to know. I don't blame him for wanting to know, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And actually, he did the same thing with me that he did with McCarthy. He said, "I want you coaching the defense, calling the defensive plays because I didn't earlier." And actually, we shut out that season. We shut out Philadelphia and Washington back to back, and then won a playoff game 34-14 against Philadelphia. Now we lost in Minnesota the next week, but so he's trying to do the best that he thinks that's going to help his team, and it's a family organization. They're really family oriented, and they include you in the family. So, I think most of the coaches have left there feel the same way I do. I like Jerry. I wish he'd have kept me longer, but I like him and I like his family, and he did this for me at my dad's funeral. He sent my son, who was still coaching there, and his family flew him down there on a private plane for my dad's funeral, paid for the dinner for everybody that was there. And I'll never forget that, and I'll always appreciate that from him.
You hear that from everybody, that Jerry is one of the most generous guys that you'll ever meet. But a lot of Cowboy fans,
not contract-wise.
Well, no, of course he's a businessman there, right?
Okay.
But a lot of Cowboy fans like to blame Jerry Jones for the problems because he is the GM. Is he a football guy? Does he know a lot of football?
Oh yeah. Not running the plays, but he played football. He played on a winning team. He was, and then he's been the general manager the whole time. And I don't know look at how much success they've had. And we're mad at them for losing 12 games every year, but because they lost the playoff game. But no, he's into football.
Wade Phillips here in studio to touch on that. You know how fans are. You just said, Mike McCarthy has won 12 games each of the last 3 seasons. 36 wins over 3 years. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
but
that's what I had, 35.
They have no success, nice. in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's about winning Super Bowls. And that's what, and the Cowboys haven't won one, as everybody knows, in almost 30 years, blah, blah, blah. And then you get people like this decision to keep Mike McCarthy, and, they're going to pay Dak. Is a business decision versus a winning decision? Is Jerry more about business than winning?
No, he's all about winning. Yeah, and not anything against other owners, but his bottom line is to win. If there's a player out there that you convince him that we need to win, he's going to pay the money to get him. Now, some of those other guys have been around. Let's just bottom line everything. So, no, he's definitely about winning.
Did you ever go to him and say, "I need this guy"?
Yeah.
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 Anybody we know?
Leonard Davis.
All right.
When we got him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was monster. But and he listens and evaluates, and he'll say, well, no, we don't want to do that. Say, okay, so but he'll listen and do things that
Nice
that you might want.
When you were watching that Green Bay game on Sunday, were you more pissed at what the offense wasn't doing or what the defense was not doing?
Well, I was surprised. Obviously, their defense has been so good all year. Although the more I've looked at Love, that guy,
yeah,
he's a little bit. They had two in a row that, two quarterbacks in a row that just are amazing, and all of a sudden he's starting to look like one of those guys. So they may have him a quarterback. Now I know the Texans do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
the Texans do. What are you
yeah.
thinking of the Houston Texans going into Baltimore, the 1 seed?
Yeah. We did that when I was there with the Texans. We won the division for the first time ever, and then beat Cincinnati in the playoff, and then went to Baltimore, and Baltimore won the Super Bowl that year. Unfortunately, we went in with our backup quarterback who threw 3 interceptions, and we actually played really great in that game defensively. So I tell Schaub every time I see him, if he wouldn't have got hurt, I think we would have won it all that year. All we had to do was beat Baltimore because they won it all.
Well, I mean, it took a defensive coach to turn them around, right? D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
All for that.
That and the quarterback that can really play.
Absolutely.
Well, you need a good defense and a quarterback, right?
Yeah, you bet.
So for your San Antonio Brahmas to bring a football championship to San Antonio, we know we're going to have a great defense because you're running it, right?
Yep.
That guaranteed, right? You're going to have the best defense in the league.
We will. We
So,
did again.
Again.
Yeah.
Although you had it in Houston.
Yeah, well, I know.
So you got to understand the rivalry between San Antonio and Houston.
Well, I know.
Yeah,
but I'm all in here.
Yeah.
They pay me here.
Yeah,
That's
they pay.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't pay me in Houston.
It says San Antonio on your shirt right
That's
now.
right.
But the team that you're putting together, it's kind of a combination. It looks like during the dispersal draft, a lot of guys that you had in Houston and a lot of guys that were in San Antonio last year.
The best ones we had in Houston.
So the guys that didn't make it, they know they're not the best now, right? Because you didn't want them back.
No, some of them somebody else took before.
I'm just teasing.
But we were able to keep. I mean, they had a good defense here last year. They had good defensive personnel, I thought, and several really good players that we kept. So we're looking forward to working with them too.
Training camp begins in February, huh?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the season in March.
Yeah, March 30th, first game. They hadn't scheduled it now.
Yeah.
Get your tickets.
Get your tickets.
Get on the winning train here.
Absolutely.
The
Pack the
website,
dome.
There you go.
UFL.com.
There you go.
And you can get your tickets now, UFL.com. We don't know what the schedule is yet.
Not yet, but we're gonna play Arlington and Houston. We know that, and so we got to beat those guys.
Little Texas Triangle.
You bet.
So
You're
Coach,
gonna be okay beating the crap out of Houston?
well,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you're listening to the radio one day and we're second guessing you, is that all right?
No, it's all right for coaches. It's all right for coaches.
Well, that's what we do.
That's it.
Okay, do it.
Yeah.
That's all right. That goes with the job. I'm all right with it. As long as you're right.
We're always
Will
right.
you text us if we're not right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Watch out.
Excited to have you in town,
Yes.
in studio. Again, March 30th is the first game. We don't know if it's home or away yet.
No.
But we'll get that info soon again. But you can get tickets at UFL.com. Wade Phillips, head coach of the San Antonio Brahmas. Appreciate you stopping by the studio, sir.
94-1, the best.
That's
There
right.
you go.
Good
Thanks,
stuff.
Coach.
Wade Phillips here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.